This is the Liz Harrison Show.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Liz Harrison. Thank you for listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio. If you're listening on K98Talk.com, thank you for listening there. It is Monday, February 16th. Be shocked, it is a Monday and I'm actually on the air. Frightening thought. I know I've had a tendency of not making it. And honestly, I was wondering if I would today. Spent half the day, well, probably most of the day, lying around because I was just not feeling well at all. Might have had something to do with, the day before, Valentine's Day. Yeah, that was interesting. Woke up, end up with a Valentine's present, and yeah, that went well, actually. I was really surprised. But yeah, basically I ended up with tickets to the ballet. Piece of jewelry, of course. That's, I guess, the typical thing. And then ended up going out to dinner after the ballet. Because it was a matinee and we had other things going on theoretically in the evening. But they got called off because weather. While I was sitting in the ballet, my phone went and did a little alarm thing and didn't make any noise because I'm smart enough to mute it. But apparently we had lightning strikes in the Pittsburgh region during the snowstorm. But, that's nothing. I came across this today. Jim Cantore, he's hysterical, from the Weather Channel. My mother loves him for whatever reason. But in this following little montage, you're missing it because of the video, sort of, kind of, but not really, because snow's pouring down. Snow's up halfway up his shins, and he's jumping around in it, and all excited, of course, and you can hear that. What he's excited about, you can't really hear, and most of it you can't even really see. It's lightning strikes. Gotta hear this, because he's just hysterical.
Oh, yes! 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 We got it, baby! We got it! We got it! Woo! Woo! We got it! Yes! Listen to that! Listen to that! Oh, baby! We just got it! Oh! Again! Again! That's a twofer! That's a twofer, baby! Yes! That's a twofer! Twofer, baby! Oh my goodness! Yes! Yes! Again! That's a three! You gotta be kidding me! You gotta be kidding me! Barak!
There it is. 3, baby, in 10 minutes.
Oh my God! The winds have really picked up and through here. And there's another one! That's number... You gotta be kidding me! Wow! You can have your $500 million jackpot in Powerball or whatever the heck it was, but I'll take this, baby! Four lightning strikes, 4 episodes of Thunder Snow. I could hear thunder, so we had another one. So we actually had 5 strikes, 5 thunder. I mean, this is just a total change. Literally within an hour. Was that another one? Was that... Oh my good... Dude, that's number 6! You gotta be kidding me! Dude, I'm telling you, this is Chicago. Postel, this is Chicago all over again. We're just sitting in the middle of it.
Oh, you gotta love him. Seriously. But does anybody really believe he'd rather have multiple snow thunder strikes than he'd rather have $500 million? I don't know about that one. Maybe he was rethinking that after the fact. Just saying. But anyway, yeah, I didn't actually get to see the thunderstrike, but they claimed that it was about 3.5 miles away from where I was on the weather. And yeah, I was thinking, oh great. We ended up crawling through traffic all day. And the sad part was, we discovered a wonderful fact. This does have something to do with government. We could tell when we were going through economically challenged communities based on the road conditions, for the most part. With one exception, our home township. Yeah. I'm really annoyed with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania over this, because basically we end up with a bad situation when it comes to our roadways, primarily because apparently our local politicians have gotten into little arguments with our state level politicians, or at least PennDOT, Pennsylvania DOT, Department of Transportation. They are theoretically in charge of clearing our roadways, but somehow our township always seems to get to the bottom of the list. Really? Come on now, people. I made the observation. Maybe, since this is obviously something that they do on a regular basis, regardless of the weather, regardless of weather conditions, we could have more snow than other communities and our roads would still be treated later. I'm thinking, maybe these people who have to pick up the mess afterwards, firefighters, ambulance, police, maybe they need to start telling people why. You know what I mean? See, I'm ambivalent about the concept of lawyers going and suing state agencies, etc. I wish that our tort system would permit, instead of having the taxpayers bear the brunt of it, if there is, a lawsuit, it wins. It goes to the taxpayers. They're going to end up paying for it. If only we could go and say, okay, whatever rat bastard idiot made the decision to not do something, so therefore somebody got hurt, that individual is basically responsible. In other words, they get to pay, not the state, that person. That would be good, because maybe they'd actually do their jobs. Just saying. Because I'm sorry, this is not a place where you sit there and say, okay, I'm going to play games with everything and torture people and take out my frustrations at X town by not doing the roads. Not a smart move. Not a smart move. Anyway. Onward and upward. Maybe one day I'll find a politician who's honest and tries to actually fix the problem. Oh wait, no, I forgot. We got a Democrat governor, so yeah, he's going to be worried about stupid stuff. Although this one, I'm ambivalent. I don't know if I really am upset about him doing this. Governor Tom Wolf here in Pennsylvania has issued a moratorium on our non-existent death penalty. And the reason why I say it's non-existent is because little does anybody know, but you cannot get executed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You could be on death row, but you can't be executed unless you want to be. Because if you don't want to be, they're going to give you an unlimited, or at least seemingly unlimited, number of appeals. They may commute you and put you into life imprisonment like they did Mumia, or it's just going to keep on going round and round in the court system. But the bottom line is that the general contention is, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there has never been a capital case that the individual ended up with the death penalty where the individual had competent counsel. Kid you not. Not joking. This is their story and they're sticking to it. We don't have competent defense attorneys here. Really, not kidding. This has been the argument from point one. Well, now Governor Wolf is saying we're putting a moratorium on it. Now, arguably, it costs us more money to keep people on death row. And they never get executed. Every governor has put out Lord knows how many different death warrants over the years, and they've always been set aside one way or another. Through appeals, what have you. So, I'm thinking, maybe I'm not really opposed. Because, see, we're not actually executing anybody. I don't expect that Governor Wolf is going to make it so that we will. So, you know, when you've got lemons, make lemonade. Maybe if he goes and takes it to the point where he says to the legislature, we need to stop this. We need to take the moratorium to the point where we're not going to have the death penalty anymore. Because it costs the taxpayers way too much money. It is far more money to keep somebody on death row than it is to just put them in a general life sentence. Between court costs and security costs and everything else. So why are we doing this? We don't ever execute anybody, so why bother? Maybe we just need to save the money. Because the alternative is to try to figure out a way to get these cases out of the morass of appeals and everything else. So one way or the other, we're looking at a legislative response to the problem. And I'm not sure that I really care which way it goes. The only thing that would bother me is if somebody did a crime that was bad enough to even argue for the death penalty in the first place, I don't want to see them end up with the possibility of parole. Just saying. I mean, I have no problem with, you know, multiple life sentences with no chance of parole. That works for me. Because isn't that the goal? I mean, yeah, I understand we're going to have more people in our prisons for a longer period of time, but it costs us more money to keep them on death row and eventually put them on a life sentence or have them die on death row of natural causes. So, why not? This sounds like a plan. I'm shocked that, well, let's put it this way. This doesn't really have to do with finances as far as Wolf is concerned. Wolf wants to make Pennsylvania look like nice, warm, fuzzy people that don't give people the death penalty. That's what this is all about. Because, you know, Wolf is a Democrat who never saw a tax he didn't like. And, you know, I have to thank all my Pennsylvanians who voted for him after knowing that he wanted to, well, tax all the things. Right now, we are exempt on our food purchases on sales tax. Don't expect that to last. At least not if the governor gets his way. And if these idiots that put him in office put more Democrats in our legislature, that's exactly what's going to happen. So, reason number 5,682 why I want to leave the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We red people living in blue or purple states just really love it. I hate Tom Corbett too because he screwed up and didn't accomplish anything, so therefore we're stuck with Wolf. Anyway, onward and upward to something moderately less depressing. No, it's not less depressing. I was looking at something shortly before I came on the air here. Our neighbors over in Ohio the parents are slowly pulling their kids out of Common Core. Yeah. As Cleveland.com reports, Ohio schools may be giving the new Common Core tests this week, but not all students are taking them. A growing number of parents are choosing to pull their kids out of testing. We first told you about Ohio's, quote, opt-out movement in October, but as the start of widespread testing approaches, the number of parents refusing to let their kids take the tests is growing. And it's a movement closely linked to opponents of the Common Core standards themselves, but that also has parents who object to ever-increasing time spent on testing and the pressure students feel to do well. Okay. It's also driven by some teachers who say the tests are excessive and do not serve students well. I understand. The Ohio Department of Education is not tracking how many parents are opting out of tests. That sounds like a very stupid move, by the way. A quick plain dealer survey of Cuyahoga County District showed only a handful of parents skipping the tests in each district. But in Lorain County, where a few teachers have taken up the cause and several parents oppose the tests strongly, it's a different story. Okay, so what they're telling us is that, if the teachers are not opposed to the tests, then maybe the parents won't be either, or only a handful of them will be. And basically, when parents are given the idea that, you do have power over what your children do in the classroom, they do take advantage of it. Which, by the way, that's the way it's supposed to be. This is going to carry on, by the way, into the argument over whether or not teachers are just simply teaching to the test. We've heard this how many times? Which isn't very useful, by the way. Because if you look at achievement tests, I remember them as a child. They were the Iowa Basics. Nightmare group of, 2-3 days. Sometimes it would be as much as 4. Basically meant that we went into school, we took a bunch of tests. We didn't really do any classwork. We may or may not have tests in the morning and in the afternoon with breaks in between, including, lunch and recess, but also the teachers would have breaks where, you would just sit there and play checkers with your classmates or what have you. I don't recall that anything from those tests, and granted you, it's a very long time ago, but I don't recall that anything from those tests was really particularly useful. This was filed under common sense knowledge that theoretically, if you were paying attention in class, you got this. Now, granted, I was relatively, in high school they tested me and claimed I was gifted or something. But I didn't notice that any of our classroom, anybody in our classroom really had difficulty with this. And then we went into the whole Common Core thing and I started realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is insane. Because I'd see the practice tests for the PSSA, which is the Pennsylvania assessment, now, as opposed to the old Iowa Basics. I'm thinking, what in the world? I'm looking at some of these questions and I'm like, and who came up with this? Really? It makes no sense. But then again, that's no different than a lot of the homework that I see now, too. And I know there are arguments from people that the Common Core math teaches students the roots of mathematics and basically teaches them how to think it through. I understand, but unless you're going to go and become a mathematician, this isn't useful. I'm sorry, it really isn't. The bottom line is that we are in a society, and we have been for a very long time, where your math skills are better served just simply memorizing by rote a lot of the things like the multiplication tables, addition, subtraction. These are all things that we should be able to do. Just looking at it, we do not need to get into the inner workings of mathematics to do this, because that takes time. I understand there are math teachers and mathematicians out there who say, oh, Common Core math is great because it teaches you the true roots of mathematics. No, it isn't. Because it doesn't address a very simple problem that we have now in society. Thank you, Common Core math. And that is that when you go through the line at a McDonald's or a grocery store or any other retail place, the individual who is waiting on you relies on the machine. They will do whatever the machine tells them to do when it comes to making change. They can't add and subtract this stuff in their heads. And the reason why they can is because they've learned all of these extra steps that really weren't necessary for the purposes of making simple computations on a daily basis. If they were going to become mathematicians and not McDonald's people, then that would be good. I understand that you want to encourage students to go and get into mathematics on that level. However, if you have a whole bunch of budding mathematicians out there, they're not going to be able to do basic work in this world. They're not. There is practical math stuff that you need to know. These people need to learn. Honestly, I would rather see them learn basic accounting. That would be useful. But theoretical math, which is what Common Core is based on, at least that's what I'm being told by these people who justify these bizarre equations that we keep on seeing all over Facebook and social media. Theoretical math is not useful. It really isn't. Is it needed in society in general? Sort of. I mean, obviously we do need it. We need the higher math for other purposes. But if somebody has an affinity toward that, they'll go there. You know what I mean? No matter what, you're going to have the egghead that's going to sit there and be all into the math. That happens. But you don't need everybody to think that way. No, you need the vast majority of people out there able to balance a checkbook. I know we don't usually use them anymore. You've got the virtual wallet thing going on. Rely much on technology, folks. If they can't even do the basics that we need, if the technology breaks down, we're screwed. We're heartily screwed. But that's just me, you know. I have no idea. This is a Common Core ceases to comprehend common sense. And the concept of teaching all of the students how to do something on a level that is well beyond what a general person should ever need in their lifetime serves no one. And honestly, I've started to come to the conclusion that the primary purpose of this is to remove parents from the equation. I mean, I've seen, I don't know how many articles that state that students that do not have their parents interfering in their education at home do better. Really? How many years were we told we're supposed to care about our kids' education? We're supposed to sit there and help them with their homework. But now they're making the homework so the parents don't understand it at all. So therefore, they don't have to be there. Anyway. The Ohio Department of Education, yet again. They're saying something that I see every year with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I guess that everybody else sees all across the country. Okay. Opt-out parents are annoyed with this. The guidance from the Ohio Department of Education that they sent to districts and parents about testing rules states, federal and state laws require all districts and schools to test all students in specific grades and courses. There is no law that allows a parent or student to opt out of state testing, and there is no state test opt-out procedure or form. If a parent withdraws his or her child's participation in certain state tests, there may be consequences for the child's teacher, and the school and district. Really? It gives the impression that parents are not allowed to opt students out of state tests. Which, by the way, we go a little bit farther. We end up with literal grilling from our district. At the beginning of the school year, they let us know what the school testing dates are so that we can make sure that we don't schedule anything on those days that would keep our child from being in school. And Lord help you if your child happens to get sick. Really? I don't agree with this. Of course, I got angry back when it was No Child Left Behind, and as I've said many times before, Common Core is the bastard child of No Child Left Behind. So, all of the Republicans out there, all of the conservatives out there that want to complain about the whole concept of Common Core, thank yourselves. George W. Bush started this. Arguably, it is up to the conservatives to clean up their own mess. I just wonder if they could. If Jeb gets in, not a chance in hell. There's another reason, well, one of the many reasons why a lot of individuals will not back Jeb Bush in 2016, and damn it, now I've said it, and I'm not really happy because I have avoided that topic pretty much. I did not want to talk about the presidential elections. I've avoided it so well, but this ticked me off enough. Anyway, most states do not have a law prohibiting parents from removing their children from the exams. They also don't have a law saying that the children must take the exam. So therefore, in the absence of a law, because it is the law stating that the kids must have a test in general, this is not an individual mandate like the Obamacare, parents get confused. Bottom line is, you as a parent have a right to pull your kid out of the tests if you want. Anybody tells you otherwise, call your lawyer. And let them know that you are, of course. Anyway, it is about that time, so I'm going to take a break here, listen to the news, and when we come back, I'll end up getting into depressing fare having to do with terrorism. Sorry about that, but they had to do that over this weekend. Be right back. This is your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for Monday, February 16th. ISIS released another video, this one depicting the beheading of 21 Egyptian Christians. While most ISIS execution videos are believed to have been filmed in Syria or Iraq, this video was allegedly shot off the Mediterranean coast in Libya. The film shows the Christians being forced to their knees, and a spokesperson says, "Today are on the south of Rome, on the land of Islam, Libya, sending another message. O Crusaders, safety for you will be only wishes, especially when you're fighting us all together. Therefore we will fight you all together. Until the war lays down its burdens and Jesus, peace be upon him, will descend breaking the cross." The spokesperson also explains that the Christian blood is being spilled in the sea because bin Laden's body was tossed out into the ocean. After the beheading, the spokesperson states, "We will conquer Rome." A picture that seemed to be showing ISIS intending to burn a cage full of children alive turned out to be something else entirely. According to Yahoo News, an activist, not pictured, holds a burning torch near children carrying banners inside a cage during a protest against forces loyal to Syria's President Bashar al-Assad in Douma, eastern Al-Ghouta near Damascus, February 15, 2015. The protest, which made children wear orange suits depicting victims of the Islamic State, calls to compare forces loyal to Syria's President Bashar al-Assad to Islamic State forces, and to draw attention to residents living under siege and dying from strikes by forces loyal to Syria's President Bashar al-Assad, activists said. At least this photo shoot did not end in tragedy. Protesters in Denver defaced a memorial to the city's fallen officers, and now the president of the police union is calling for the resignation of Denver Police Chief Robert White. Commander Matt Murray said it is protocol not to engage protesters, so officers were not ordered to stop the vandalism. The protest, estimated to be 100 to 200 people, was in response to the shooting death of Jesse Hernandez, a 17-year-old who was killed during a police action in January. Union President Nick Rogers stated, quote, "There is no reason to allow someone to desecrate a memorial. There is no reason to allow that to happen. It's wrong. We have a breaking point, and we are there." 2 suspects were later arrested for defacing the memorial, but questions remain about the Denver Police Department policy of avoiding conflict with protesters. I'm Liz Harrison, and this has been your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for Monday, February 16th.
Hi, this is Jason Dibbler, co-host of Q with a View, heard every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on FTR Radio. Right now, FTR needs your help in making the jump into the 21st century through some long-needed equipment upgrades. This is where you, the great and loyal listeners of Great Conservative Talk Radio, can really lend a hand. Visit GoFundMe.com/helpupgradeFTR right now. Your assistance, no matter how small, will help to ensure that FTR can continue to offer some of the best conservative radio on the interwebs. Your donation of $50 gets you up to 60 seconds of airtime on FTR Radio 4 times. For $100, your ad will run 10 times, or if you don't want to run an ad, you can have 30 minutes of FTR airtime to talk about anything you want. There are other thank yous for other levels of giving as well, but those are some pretty great offers. We hope you'll consider making a small donation to help keep quality conservative talk radio alive and thriving on the internet. Visit GoFundMe.com/helpupgradeFTR today. Thank you.
Hi, this is Steve Hamilton, station director at AltCon Radio, and that sultry voice you're listening to is Liz Harrison on The Liz Harrison Show.
Egypt. They're a little bit annoyed with ISIS right now. Just saying. Probably has something to do with the fact that they beheaded 21 Egyptians. Now, before I get to Egypt, I'm going to start with the United States. I'm going to read from the blog at the U.S. Department of State. The United States condemns the despicable and cowardly murder of 21 Egyptian citizens in Libya by ISIL-affiliated terrorists. In a statement, the White House press secretary said, quote, "We offer our condolences to the families of the victims, and our support to the Egyptian government and people as they grieve for their fellow citizens. ISIL's barbarity knows no bounds. It is unconstrained by faith, sect, or ethnicity. This wanton killing of innocents is just the most recent of the many vicious acts perpetrated by ISIL-affiliated terrorists against the people of the region, including the murders of dozens of Egyptian soldiers in the Sinai, which only further galvanizes the international community to unite against ISIL. This heinous act once again underscores the urgent need for a political resolution to the conflict in Libya, the continuation of which only benefits terrorist groups, including ISIL. We call on all Libyans to strongly reject this and all acts of terrorism and to unite in the face of this shared and growing threat. We continue to strongly support the efforts of the United Nations Special Representative of the Secretary General, Bernardino Leon, to facilitate formation of a national unity government and help foster a political solution in Libya. Secretary of State John Kerry called Egyptian Foreign Minister Shoukry today in the aftermath of the horrific video showing the murder of 21 Egyptians. The Secretary offered his condolences on behalf of the American people and strongly condemned the despicable act of terror. Secretary Kerry and Foreign Minister Shoukry agreed to keep in close touch as Egyptians deliberated on a response. Well, they didn't deliberate very long. Egypt, following suit with Jordan, has targeted Libya. They are, well, responding militarily. Yeah. They did a dawn strike. It hit militant camps, training sites, and weapons storage areas in neighboring Libya, where civil conflict has plunged the country into near anarchy and created havens for armed factions. Does anybody remember why that's the case? Could it possibly have anything to do with the United States dabbling in the politics there, France deciding that Gaddafi needed to go, and the U.S. totally screwing up to the point where we ended up losing an ambassador? Thank you, Hillary Clinton. But we're going to give them our condolences. Right? Are we going to park a carrier out there in the Med? I don't think so. Or if we do, is it actually going to do anything? See, I understand. People get upset. They don't want to see us in war. But you know what? That is what we're left with. When you fail miserably at attempts to negotiate political, peace, right? Is that it? Libya? Peaceful? I don't even know where to begin. I really don't. I have no idea. 40 or 50 militants were killed. And there are casualties among individuals, ammunition, and the Islamic State Communications Center. That's according to Libyan Air Force Commander Sakir al-Jaroushi. Told Egyptian state television that. More airstrikes will be carried out today and tomorrow in coordination with Egypt. It seems that the internationally recognized government is capable of engaging in military strikes against ISIS. Now, of course, I'm sitting here wondering what the next move is for someone else who theoretically has not been in play, but has been, in a way, in a twisted, bizarre sort of way. The head of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, condemned the killings. They were killed simply for the fact that they were Christians, he said at the Vatican. It makes no difference whether they be Catholics, Orthodox, Copts, or Protestants. They are Christians. You think? I'm wondering what Pope Francis really has to say, because, as I recall, Rome is annexed. bear in mind, the Vatican City is its own nation, has its own military, the Swiss Guard. And from what I understand, they receive training from some of the best military forces worldwide. I can't think this is going to end well. I'm just wondering how long Pope Francis is going to have a case of the warm fuzzies. Of course, that wasn't all that was going on this past weekend. No, Voice of America News reports police released details on suspected gunmen in Copenhagen attacks because, we had shootings in Denmark. Yeah. He was the man who was suspected in the slayings of 2 people in Copenhagen since Saturday, and the Prime Minister there has called it a cynical act of terror against Denmark. The shooter was Denmark-born 22-year-old alleged gunman. And he was shot after he opened fire on officers near a train station. I wonder what would happen here in the U.S. Oh, wait, I'm not going to go there. I'm really not. Police investigator Jørgen Skov said, Sunday, we are still faced with a huge investigation. We need to make sure that our theory is in fact correct. A number of things indicate that we did get the right man, but we still have to investigate whether he acted alone. But at the moment, there is nothing to suggest that any other perpetrators are involved or were involved. In the first attack, a gunman with an automatic weapon killed 1 person and wounded 3 police officers at a cafe. Danish media identified the deceased as film director Finn Norgard, 55. And they were having a free speech event there. The free speech event was also attended by Swedish cartoonist Lars Vilks, who is known for provocative drawings, including a 2007 cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad that led to threats against the 68-year-old. Yeah. And of course now we're all talking in various countries across Europe. We're getting back into a dangerous level of anti-Semitism. I guess the argument there is the Jews are bringing this on us. The Jews are at fault because Islam hates the Jews. The Islamic terrorists hate the Jews. It was 21 Jews. Oh, wait, no. That was Christians. Christians. Their blood spilled in the ocean. Because bin Laden was thrown in the ocean. Stop it. Really? Seriously. Just stop. There are 2 groups of people on this planet as far as Islamic terrorists are concerned. There are individuals who agree with them, and then there is everybody else. And a little hint to those who are slow, everybody else is a target. Okay? This isn't hard. Please stop it. Because the sooner you realize that, the better off you are. Onward and upward to mind-boggling insanity. Yeah, I'm talking about Gamergate. I'm talking about Law & Order SVU. Last week, they did a really, truly awful portrayal of the situation known as Gamergate. Okay? It is absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Why? Well, number one, because not a single part of it depicted anything remotely close to reality. You could start with the gaming convention that they had, which was utterly and completely unrealistic. Move on to the assault on the gamer girl. Yeah, none of the above is going to happen. I'm sorry, it's just not. They'll talk a good game, maybe. Yeah. The gamers are not going to go kidnap a game developer. And in all honesty, they're not exactly opposed to the concept of women in gaming. It's turning into that. The women are arguably turning it into, let's make all of the gamers hate us. And the reason this is happening is because we have to go back to the beginning. You know, this has all turned into a big, woe is me, I'm a woman, I'm trying to make it in the gaming world, and they don't like me. Suck it. Really. You brought it on yourself. Somebody made an accusation against somebody in the industry, possibly going and screwing someone to get a good review. Okay. True or not doesn't really matter. They claim it's not. They go and have arguments about this in the netherworld of the interwebs. In the dark web, which is also depicted as BS in the SVU show. And what do? You get people to silence it. You created this yourself. Because you didn't let the people who wanted to debate about this go ahead and do so. You infringed on free speech in an area where it usually is not. And then they got upset with you. Note the timeline. Accusations made about questionable behavior, trying to get a good review. Gamers want to debate it. You shut them down. They attack. It's not hard. Not hard at all. And when I say attack, I mean verbally. I mean they sit there and say, why'd you shut us down? You must be afraid of this. You must be afraid of that. And then all of the accusations keep snowballing. But it was never about sexism to begin with. You turned it into sexism by shutting it down. If you would have let them have their little moment and let them have their little arguments like they have on God knows how many other issues over the years, it would have all gone away. But somebody had their feels hurt and didn't want anybody arguing over whether or not she spread her legs for a review. Really? Oh my God. And then move onward and upward. The horrible story about Brianna Wu. Yeah. You're supposed to really love her or something. Bustle says, I'm Brianna Wu and I'm risking my life standing up to Gamergate. You know what? What was it? Not My Shield? Yeah, that was it. I said it over the weekend. It's official. I mean, screw Not My Shield. I'm a Gamergate bitch. Okay? Get over yourselves. I mean, I feel sorry for Brianna Wu because she ended up with a video by somebody on YouTube outlining plans to murder her. Okay? And she's received piles of other death threats. You know what I do with death threats? The same thing she's doing. I file them with the authorities. Okay? That's it. That's all you can do. If the authorities come back and tell me that one of them looks really viable, then I pack my bags and I go somewhere. And I take my family with me. That hasn't happened yet. Maybe it will now. Oh, wait, no, I don't know. Maybe, unless the women who are being targeted by the evil Gamergate men are going to start threatening me because I'm calling them on their bullshit. Maybe. Maybe I'll start getting threats. Maybe I'll get threats from them. Wouldn't that be amusing? I think at that point I could sit here and say, I told you so. Oh, wow. But they're saying that they don't like their jobs anymore. Twitter is completely ineffectual at handling harassment. I want them to be. I really do. Because, see, if they would become effective, that would mean that they have some greater degree of control over the medium. And I don't want them to. Because we already saw what happens with that. It's called Facebook. I like Twitter being the Wild West. It's called Get a Program. Oh, wait, you're a How does this work? Seriously. You're a freaking software engineer. And you can't freaking figure out a simple thing called TweetDeck. And the reason why I say that is, use the freaking TweetDeck because then you can mute anybody you like. And they won't know. Because Twitter won't know that you are essentially blocking them. Which gives them fuel to the fire. You don't ever want to block a troll. I do it on a very rare occasion, okay? I really, it's a very bad thing to do. Because all it does is either A, give them bragging rights, or B, encourage them to go and make phantom accounts to come at you from other directions. So the best solution to the problem is to ignore them. If you can't simply ignore the posts with your own, you don't have enough willpower, you can't do it. It upsets you every time you see them. Mute the bastards. Use the TweetDeck. Mute the bastards. Please tell me that a software engineer is not so dense that they cannot figure that out. It's freaking Twitter. It's not reality. It's little blips on a virtual radar. You can either listen to them or not. Hell, you need to use the Twitter for your business. Hello, I do all the time. At Goldwater Gal, have at it. Really, people, get over this. Seriously, it's ridiculous. I don't want to even begin to try to figure out what goes through these people's heads. Oh, wait, no. We're going to have more whining from Ms. Wu. Yeah. When a Silicon Valley founder sends a woman reporter a gift basket with a dildo and KY jelly, then doesn't understand why it might be offensive, it's because most of the venture capital system and the tech entrepreneurs are men. We don't have a voice. They tell us they're going to do better. Okay, number one. Women have been doing this for years, sweetheart. Breaking into new industries. You know what I mean? Once upon a time, women, it was never heard of that they would be published. We're going back to the 1800s and before here. But yeah, how they do it. They used pen names. They got money from men to pay for it. What have you. But they did it. One way or another. Why? Because they wanted it badly enough. Somebody goes and gives me a gift basket with a dildo and KY jelly in it. You know what my answer to them is? Thank you so much for the gift. I have no doubt it will perform better than you ever could. Quite simple. Doesn't matter what I actually do with it. Bottom line is that I'm not going to let the bastard sit there and think that he got me. Because it's all shock factor. He was trying to mess with her head and she let him. Oh, that's not my problem. It really isn't. Seriously is not my problem. I don't know. And, of course, they're denying that Gamergate is a hate group. Gamergate is not a hate group. I agree with that. It is not a hate group. The only people they're going after are people who are begging for it, like Woo. Seriously. If you would, like I said from the beginning, if you would have let them have their damn argument, sucked it up. I mean, really, if you're getting your feelings hurt on little shit like whether or not somebody said, oh, she slept with someone to get a good review, you're in the wrong business. Newsflash, you're in the wrong business. And that goes for not just video games. You think you're alone in this BS? No, you're not. Every sector, every genre within the publishing industry has this kind of nonsense going on. Did you not bother to go and talk to anybody? And I'm sorry, I'm not going to cry a tear over a bunch of whiny little women who can't figure out that if you're getting threats, you're doing it right. In theory. Although in this case they're really not, because they're just begging for it. But seriously, that's where I'm at. I get threats, I'm doing it right. I ticked somebody off. I made somebody angry. I made somebody think, hey, wait a minute, maybe I'm not right. I made them question whether or not what they stand for is legitimate. That's winning. Anyway. It's about that time. So, up next, the Right Mics, 2 p.m. Eastern. After that, their finest hour is on, and I know I saw something about this. This is spelled under, I gotta pay attention. Mickey White and Katrina Jorgensen are going to be on Vigilant Liberty Radio tonight on their finest hour with host Alan Bordius. That is at 10 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, I will catch you back here tomorrow at noon. I am out of here.